This step is always optional, but I always just like to shade my eyebrows first. Then I go in with a concealer that's lighter than my foundation, and I apply it mainly under my eyes, my nose, around my chin, eyebrows, and then I go in and do my cheeks. And then you just go in and cover up any acne or spots, anything you really want to cover up. Then with a brush, a sponge, or your fingers, go in and blend out all of the spots and make sure it's pretty evenly blended out, just so it doesn't show up underneath your foundation, because we want it to just blend nicely in with your foundation. This shade is a bit too light for me, but it is the only one I had on hand at the moment, so we're working with what we got. After you get everything blended in, you're going to want to go over with a foundation in your shade. I don't like to use a lot just because I don't like my face to look or feel too cakey, but that's just completely up to you and your preference. This is typically where I put it, and then I usually just use my fingers to blend it out, since with this foundation, it is my favorite, but it doesn't seem to blend very well with a brush, and then with my skin, sponges never really work well. But again, that's a step that's completely up to you, whatever works best. Then after my base, I just like to go in with a translucent or white setting powder and kind of just put it under my eyes, around my nose and jaw, and also my cheekbones. I sometimes also put it up around and above my eyebrows, just depending on how matte I want my face to be. So for contour, I like to go in with the light, medium, and then the darker shade, and bring it in kind of on my cheekbones. I do fish lips, as I call them, and then I bring it down in kind of an L shape along where that little crease is. And then for the bridge of my nose, I go in more towards my eyebrows and down my nose, just kind of to darken it up. And then I take a littler brush and just kind of drag it down my nose to give it the sharp, defined look that I'm going for. I also go in under my nose just to kind of square it out and give it a boxier look. And then I just kind of blend it in more. And then for my jaw, I go and try to make it boxier and more square just by harshly contouring along my natural jawline and bringing it kind of up a bit more onto my face, and then harshly up into the sideburns. I also like to take it down the back towards my ears, and then up in the middle more close to my chin, just to give my neck more definition. And then of course, I go in and darken spots that might need it. I always think that more is better, because as I've noticed, the camera kind of softens contours, so the harsher, the more defined and better it'll show up on camera. After I get it all on, I do like to take a concealer again and put it under and above where I just contoured on my cheekbones, just to kind of make it look sharper, and it helps define it better. When I do blend it above, I try to blend it up more towards my eye, just into where I had previously concealed before putting on foundation. After I have it on, I normally just go in and kind of touch up the tops of the concealer again, just in case I brought the concealer up a little too much. Then I just take these lighter contour shades and take them on the outer ends of my eye and underneath, since when I contoured my nose, bringing it up into my brows already defined a lot of the inner corners. I just like to kind of match the outside to the inner corners. And then for my eyeshadow, I tend to just take some dark brown and I kind of wing out my outer corner. I end up rounding it out most of the time, depending on the character. if they don't have too sharp of an eye, just because I like the look better. But I always go in and do a sharp inner corner just because I like the definition it gives my eye. But it kind of depends on the character as well. Sometimes I'll do it softer, sometimes I won't do it at all. It just kind of depends on the type of character that I'm doing. I then take just a light blush just to add some color to my face. As for lips, I take a hydrating like gloss or moisturizer, just anything that'll kind of help hydrate my lips. Chapstick would work too. And then I'm going to take that medium contour shade and I'm going to do the outer corners of my lips and kind of make my lips look a little bit fuller. But then I also take that rosy brown shade and overline my lips just a little bit, at least on the outside of it. Then sometimes we'll take some and put it on the bottom and the middle and just kind of blend it out with my fingers so it's not too harsh. I also go back over with that rosy shade in the corners to kind of elongate my mouth and give it more of a masculine shape. I then will take that brown again and do kind of a Y shape, and I feel like it gives you more of a pouty, animated look to your lips. On to eyebrows, I go in with a brown to black shade and kind of just elongate them since I do shave off a big portion of my eyebrows, just depending on the characters though. I don't do my eyebrows too often, as you can see, so they definitely are not twins. I just kind of brush the product through and clean up with concealer and everything as I go, just to get them as even as possible. Since I did use my Sanji cosplay for this tutorial, I just decided to add in the little eyebrow swoop just to kind of roughly show how I do it. I do a lighter shade and then I go back in with a darker shade more after I like the shape of it. As for facial hair, I take that angled brush and I take kind of a light brown and I just kind of flick my brush up and down for upper lip facial hair, and I start with a lighter shade and then I go back in with a darker shade later just for some more definition, and of course just clean it up with concealer or light foundation as you go. And as for like chin and jaw, I start with a light one and I flick it down, I flick it up rather than down like I do for the lip. And I start with a light shade, of course, and then go back in with the darker shade. And here is the final look. Time for an outfit change and wig. And while I am putting on my messy wig and fixing it up, this is the final look, and I hope that this was helpful. If anybody has any questions or videos they'd like to see, anything like that, you can go ahead and comment them down below. Let me know what you thought, and I hope that this helps somebody out.